This is my critical reflection and evaluation process as part of my media coursework and main task. Question 1. How does your product use or challenge conventions, and how does it represent social groups or issues? The primary conventions for independent magazines involve the use of minimalism, whilst creating a certain amount of shock or awe through their uniqueness and vibrancy, whether that is through quirky main images, unusual layouts for fonts and texts, or unconventional and highly analytical content of one particular subject, most commonly for fashion. Also, the general tone of the magazine has to be aesthetically pleasing for various reasons, which make each of them stand out from the crowd and stand up against their competition, such as various other independent magazines and other more mainstream magazines. I feel that through my coursework, my product has both met and challenged these conventions. For example, I feel I achieved the minimalism through my construct of my contents page, playing around with different fonts and italicizing different words to give the content of the page more depth and more of a trendy look. As well, italicizing various words is not uncommon in indie magazines. With regards to my images, I feel that these challenge the conventions of more popular indie magazines, in the sense that they are not particularly quirky, but they are more down to earth and focused on the individual or the reader, which makes the tone of the magazine more intimate. This, I feel, challenges other magazines in this genre, as many incorporate images of models in really out of their depth clothing and having them do unusual poses for the camera. The mise en scène in terms of the costume and makeup of these photo shoots are wildly drastic. Whereas with my images, and with Stelpa in general being both a travel and lifestyle magazine as well as a small focus on fashion, I feel that both my main image for my cover photo and for my double page spread are appropriate. They both have gorgeous settings in the background that link to the genre of travel, my subgenre. And I think what is also special and what I wanted to create from the beginning, is a sense of the reader looking at the setting of the picture as if they were there themselves, hence both my pictures having the girls with their backs turned to the camera. In terms of social groups and issues, I feel that mainly the social dynamic that is represented is young adults with a passion to embrace their identities, and also who have interest in travelling, exploring the wider world, and looking after themselves as well as their situation, whether that be regarding management of their wardrobe or their workload of uni. In my double page spread, financial issues are mentioned, and I feel that with my magazine and my demographic that I have targeted, I would want my indie magazine to be attractive to young adults on a tighter budget, as independent magazines can be extortionately expensive, as many are released quarterly, yearly, or annually. Question 2. How does your product engage with audiences, and how would it be distributed as a real media text? So this applies to this small photo here, which is cropped from my cover page, and it illustrates the price, when my magazine would be distributed, and just giving a general idea of what month this cover photo applies to, and other conventions of independent magazines within this tiny little corner of my cover page that I will explain. So during my research for Stelpa, I turned to my friends back in the UK who are either at university or who have just left and have started work, etc. This was admittedly an accident on my behalf, but a very happy one, as I realised there was a gap in the market here, and I enjoyed asking questions as to how they wanted Stelpa to look and what they wanted the content of my magazine to be on. Many of them voted for travel and lifestyle and fashion, so I made a sort of subgenres of all three. So it was really like they were building the kind of magazine that they wanted, and it was really helpful to me during the general construct of the magazine itself. And I feel that any audience wants a magazine that looks and feels professional, and with independent magazines, I did find it hard to try and engage or keep audiences captivated, even though it had that professional look and feel. And also whilst trying to stick to the conventions of such as minimalism as well. So in the end, I went for a more friendly and intimate vibe and tone, as aforementioned, which I feel is important in any kind of media text to come across as though it is just you and the reader without a barrier in between the two. I feel I have achieved this through a conversational tone in my double page spread, and also including main images featuring myself and my best friend, plus other friends of mine during my double page spread. This makes it more relatable for readers. Also, along with the uprise of social media networks such as Instagram and Twitter, these are the kinds of photos individuals do strive to achieve and to post on there and to share with loved ones and friends and followers that they have. So, and just showcasing you and your friends making memories together. And so I feel that that captivates my audiences more, especially as this is targeted within the same demographic as those social networks do. So if this were a real media text, I would want to distribute my issues on a 3 monthly basis, ideally from March to June to September and then to December. This is because these months cross over all 4 of the seasons, and I feel that this would be more engaging for readers as content such as holiday destinations and lifestyle/style/fashion pics would be interchangeable according to the seasons. For example, Back to Uni or Back to School issue in September, featuring not only style pics for the season that are affordable for students, but also holiday destinations ideas for the upcoming year, which gives my target audience enough time to save financially, thus providing useful tips and ideas on the subject which can really benefit my demographic, and then that would encourage them to make more of a purchase, as I think Stelpa in a way would be really, really, really useful to them. Also, by releasing an issue every 3 months, this would give individuals enough time to save up the money to buy the magazine. Even though I would be charging £7 for it, it's still a lot of money for uni students, although not as pricey as others like Kinfolk, which I included in my double page spread research. They actually sell their magazine via a yearly subscription for $75 for the whole year. As I previously mentioned, this is because it is annual and they still need to make a profit. However, for my magazine, I would also like to sell my magazine via a subscription-based program, so similar to Kinfolk and Indie Magazine and Vestige, whereby people can purchase all 4 seasons in advance, so March, June, September and December, for a discounted 15% off the promotional price. Individuals would get charged either yearly or monthly, as I feel this would be most convenient for my target audience. With Stelpa, I would ideally release it in the UK, Ireland, and have it translated and distributed in some parts of Europe to start off with, maybe Spain, Portugal and France, for example, and then possibly through viral marketing, have the word spread about the magazine, which would take the name of Stelpa to other places. And this method of promotion is not uncommon for independent magazines, as through social media is sometimes the only way in which they would get distinguishable recognition and thrive and compete successfully through social networks and compete with their more mainstream magazines like Vogue, like Elle, like tabloid magazines like OK and Look magazine. My target audience is mainly the demographic that I included within my questionnaire on my blog, which was a female audience ranging from the ages of 18 to 23 years and around the stages of E to C. I thought questions 3 to 4 I could answer together because they do interlink. So question 3. How did your production skills develop throughout this project? And question 4, how did you integrate technologies, software, hardware and online in this project? So, these are just some examples that I will refer to in my answer. So then, with my production skills, they developed through the usage of Photoshop and other photo editing processes, and also using alternative programs in which to construct my magazine accordingly, which I did find easier to use, and in fact gave me a better finish than on any other program I tried in my preliminary task. With regards to the bulk of my photo editing, I used Photoshop for my main image on my double page spread, as I wanted to create a blurred background with my friends in the foreground, emphasised and left clear. So I achieved this through looking the processes up on the internet, so I guess that links to how did you integrate technology, software, hardware and online in this project. So yes. So I turned to Photoshop and I inserted the photograph into Photoshop, and then I added another layer of the same photograph underneath the original. With the second layer I was able to go to Tools, then Blur, then a tool called Gaussian Blur. This then created a softer blur effect in comparison to the others that were available to me. I then erased the top layer that didn't have the blur to reveal the blur effect added to the second layer underneath. I then edited the size of the eraser accordingly to the area of the photo I wished to edit, and these steps are shown on my media blog as well. Furthermore, for my cover image, I used a program online called Photo. This program allowed me to separate colour on a black and white photograph. Initially, I wanted mine and my friends' bikinis to be emphasised with colour. However, this was completely ineffective and also didn't pop quite as much as I would have liked. I then went on to Tools, and just like Photoshop, I selected a tool known as Ink Drop. With this tool, I increased it to a larger size, changed the colour to the colours that the ladies in my questionnaire showed to be the most popular, which was a dusky blue. I did think about grey, but then grey on a black and white background just wouldn't work. So I incorporated the grey within the headings, the masthead, and I also kept the black and white background as well. So I added this around the image of myself and my friend jumping in midair, and then with the black and white photo continuing around the edges. I felt that this tied in quite well with the issue season being September, which could be seen to be a colder season if you live in the UK, and that transition from summer to autumn. It's definitely shown from the juxtaposition of the beach and the blue. I then faded this picture on a program called Pages, which I will explain more about in a second, which made it more transparent. And I felt that it gave the image somewhat of a Polaroid effect, linking to the conventions amongst independent magazines, making their main images more quirky and different to others, even though mine is more understated in comparison. However, I feel that I should have used more Photoshop. Maybe I could have placed the image on my cover page in its original format onto Photoshop, and then the effect of enhancing the bikini colour would have been more successful perhaps, but that may have deviated from the effect that I wanted to achieve eventually, and the effect that I got in the end, with the links to the seasons or the desired colour scheme of the cover page for my target audience that I wanted and that they wanted to achieve. What's more, I used a Mac program called Pages. Here, I use this to construct all elements of my magazine, as it has fading tools that can fade either the text or the picture accordingly. This for me worked better on my double page spread and contents page, where there was a lot of writing and I could move and edit my writing and pictures easily and still creating my desired effect.